If you've ever looked at a woman and felt that quiet voice inside say, something's off, you're not alone. Maybe she's beautiful, confident, magnetic even. But deep down, something just doesn't add up. Her energy feels different. Her words sound right, but her eyes, they tell another story. Maybe you've been here before, where you thought you found the one only to later discover she had a whole past she never mentioned, and suddenly all those little things you ignored, the way she avoids certain questions, the strange comfort she has around other men, the casual way she treats intimacy, start to make painful sense. If this is you, you've probably questioned yourself. Am I overthinking? Am I being insecure? Or is my gut trying to warn me about something real? Because deep down you feel it, that sense that you might not be the first man she's tried to make fall in love. You just might be another chapter in a long book she's been writing for years, and yet a part of you still wants to believe she's different, that what you have is real. But what if you could actually see the truth before you fall again? What if there are signs, subtle, hidden patterns that reveal when a woman has been with many men long before she ever tells you? Listen, most men get this part completely wrong, not because they're stupid, but because they were never taught how to see what's really in front of them. We live in a world that tells men to ignore their intuition, to suppress their instincts, to believe that the past doesn't matter. But deep down, every man knows that's a lie. You can feel it when a woman carries the energy of too many experiences, too many men, too many emotional attachments that were never truly released. The truth is, attraction can blind you. A beautiful face, a soft voice, a bit of attention. It's enough to make most men forget who they are. They fall into fantasy instead of reality. They want to believe she's pure, untouched, loyal, and so they ignore the obvious, the inconsistencies, the emotional detachment, the way she talks about love but treats it like a game. But a calm, grounded man doesn't chase fantasy. He reads energy, he observes patterns. He knows that a woman's past does shape her emotional capacity in the present. That's not judgment. It's awareness. It's the difference between a man who leads with his emotions and a man who leads with truth. See, the core masculine principle here is this. A man values what he invests in, but only a fool invests blindly. You can't build something real with someone who's still living in echoes of her old life. And if you ignore that, you're not being noble, you're being naive. When you start seeing women through this lens, not with bitterness, but with clarity, you'll realize how much peace comes from understanding rather than hoping. Because once you learn to spot the hidden signs, you stop falling for potential and start choosing from truth. So ask yourself this. Are you ready to see what she's been hiding in plain sight? It's late, the room is quiet, that kind of quiet that hums in your ears when you're lost in thought. The light from your phone screen glows against your face as you scroll through old messages. Her messages, the words used to feel warm, now they feel hollow. You remember the first time you saw her, the way she laughed like she'd already known you, the confidence, the charm. It wasn't shy or nervous like most people meeting someone new. No, it was rehearsed, smooth, almost too natural. At the time, it felt magnetic. Now, looking back, it feels like a performance. There were little things, the way she'd talk about her crazy exes, the night she'd go quiet for no reason, the strange ease she had around men, like she knew exactly what to say, exactly how to pull attention without even trying. You told yourself not to overthink it. You wanted to trust her. You wanted to believe you were different. But sometimes when you held her, it felt like you were just filling a space that had been filled many times before. You could feel it in the way she avoided eye contact after, how her body was there but her heart was miles away. You'd ask yourself, why does this feel so familiar, yet so distant? There's that night, the one that never leaves your mind. You're lying beside her, the city lights spilling through the blinds. She's scrolling through her phone, smiling faintly at something. You ask what it is. She says, oh, nothing. And maybe it was nothing. But your gut twisted anyway, because somewhere inside you knew she wasn't all yours. Maybe she never was. You wanted to be the man who didn't care about the past, the one who's secure, who doesn't judge. But the truth is, it's not about judging. It's about feeling, and you can feel when a woman's soul has been stretched too thin, when her heart's been given away too many times without healing in between. It's not hate, it's sadness, the quiet ache of realizing she's mastered connection, but forgotten how to bond. You think back to the beginning, her eyes, the way they sparkled when she looked at you. Now you wonder how many times they've lit up like that before, how many times she's made another man feel chosen, special, different, only to drift away once the thrill faded. You sit there in that silence, the kind that hurts because it's honest. And in that stillness, you finally admit to yourself what you've been avoiding. This isn't about her anymore. It's about you, about what you've allowed, about how much of your peace you've handed over, chasing something that never belonged to you. The hum of the room grows louder and you exhale, long, slow, steady. For the first time, you're not angry, you're awake. Because now you can finally see the signs you once ignored. And once you see them, really see them, you can never unsee them again. Let's get something straight. Most men aren't broken. They're just blind. Blind because they were taught the wrong things about women, relationships, and their own worth. See, the first false belief men hold is this: her past doesn't matter if she's with me now. It sounds noble, mature, emotionally intelligent, but that belief has quietly destroyed more men than you can imagine, because what you're really saying is, I'll ignore the patterns that built the person standing in front of me. Her past isn't just about how many men she's been with. It's about how she relates to love, how she attaches, how she values intimacy. If a woman's body has been shared many times, chances are her heart's been fractured many times too. And every time that happens, something changes inside her. A piece of innocence, trust, and emotional depth gets replaced by self-protection and control. You can't build something pure with someone who's learned to love from a place of defense. That's not judgment. That's awareness. When you understand this, you stop blaming women and start holding yourself accountable for who you give your energy to. Most men confuse being understanding with being blind. They say, I don't care about her past, but deep down they do. They feel the distance, the coldness, the lack of depth. And it hurts, but they suppress it because society told them that noticing the difference makes them insecure. No, brother, it makes you awake. The second false belief is even deeper. If she's with me, I can change her. You think your love will be the one that makes her different. That she'll soften for you. That she'll forget everyone before you. But here's the truth. You can't heal what you didn't break. She might love you in moments, but patterns don't lie. If her validation comes from being desired, no amount of your devotion will ever be enough. You'll pour your soul into her and still feel empty because what she's looking for isn't connection. It's attention. That's the part most men don't want to face. You think you're fighting for love, but really you're fighting for proof. Proof that you're enough to make her choose differently this time, but you can't compete with the ghost of her past. You can only stand in your truth, calm, grounded, unmoved, because a man who values himself doesn't chase potential. He chooses peace over chaos. He doesn't try to fix a woman's patterns. He recognizes them and steps back. Remember this, you're not losing her. You're just waking up to who she really is. And another one, she didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself, trying to keep her. Let that sink in. The moment you stop needing to be the exception, you start living in reality. You stop romanticizing red flags as complexity. You stop mistaking chaos for chemistry. You start seeing that her patterns are her responsibility, not your project. And when you finally let go of the fantasy of changing her, you reclaim something far more powerful, your masculine peace, because a man's strength isn't shown by how much pain he can endure. It's shown by how clearly he can see through illusion and still stay calm enough to walk away from it. The truth will always sting before it frees you. But once you see clearly, you'll never fall for the same story again. Most men chase validation. The 3% man doesn't. That's the difference. See, the average man walks into a connection with a woman already hoping she'll choose him. He evaluates his worth based on her response, her texts, her tone, her attention. But the 3% man, he's not waiting to be chosen. He's observing whether she deserves to stay. This is what he understands. A woman's attention doesn't define his value. His energy does. He doesn't lose sleep wondering who she's been with. He watches how she shows up now. Is she grounded? Is she emotionally available? Does she carry peace or chaos into his life? He's not judging her past. He's simply aware of its impact. The 3% man knows that intimacy is more than attraction. It's energy exchange. He doesn't allow access to his presence just because a woman is beautiful or flirty. He's selective, not because he's arrogant, but because he respects himself too much to share his focus with anyone who hasn't earned it. Where most men react, he reflects. Where most men chase, he chooses. This is what he understands. Emotional control is masculine power when other men spiral in confusion, overanalyzing texts, losing their center. He stays still, not cold, just steady, because he knows that presence is louder than pressure. This is how he leads, with calm awareness, not by trying to fix her or prove himself or decode her history. He lets her reveal herself through her actions. A woman who's been with many men will test boundaries, seek validation, and crave emotional highs. The 3% man doesn't fight that. He just observes it, and through that stillness her mask falls. He understands that he doesn't have to earn love by tolerating dysfunction. He's not afraid of walking away because he's already full within himself. His self-worth isn't built on her approval. It's built on his discipline, his direction, his peace. You can feel the difference. When he speaks, there's no rush, no neediness, no subtle begging for reassurance. He knows who he is, and that energy draws women in without effort, not because he's playing games, but because he's mastered the one truth most men ignore. When you stop chasing, you become the prize. This is what he understands. If a woman's energy feels unstable, if her words and actions don't align, it's not a mystery, it's information. And information isn't emotional. He doesn't argue with it. He acts on it. He's not looking for perfection. He's looking for alignment. He doesn't try to control her past. He simply doesn't let her patterns control him. He's not intimidated by her experience. He just refuses to be another experience. This is how he moves differently. With presence, not pressure. With intention, not impulse. With standards, not fear. Because the 3% man understands something most never do. Love isn't about possession. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what kind of energy you allow into your world and protecting that peace like it's sacred. So when he sees the hidden signs, he doesn't panic, argue, or judge. He simply smiles inwardly and says, I see. And then, if she's not in alignment, he quietly walks away, not to punish her, not to prove anything, but because he finally understands the highest form of strength is self-respect. He's sitting in his car long after she's gone. The city noise has quieted down, but inside, his mind won't stop replaying moments, fragments of her laughter, her perfume on the seat, the half smile she gave before she walked away. It's not heartbreak he's feeling anymore. It's something deeper, something heavier, but strangely peaceful. He stares out through the windshield, rain tracing soft lines down the glass, and for first time in a long time, he's not thinking about her. He's thinking about him, about the way he showed up in this story, about how much of himself he gave, trying to prove something that didn't need to be proven. And then it hits him. He realizes he wasn't chasing her. He was chasing the version of himself he thought she could see, the strong, wanted, valuable man he kept searching for in her eyes. That man was always him. He just forgot. He traded his peace for attention, his stillness for reaction, his intuition for hope. He closes his eyes, and a small laugh escapes, not out of bitterness, but understanding. He sees it all so clearly now. Every time he ignored his gut, every time he tried to explain away the distance, every time he convinced himself that love meant holding on no matter how it felt, it was never about her worth. It was about his blindness to his own. He remembers how he used to feel before all this. Grounded, centered, calm. The kind of man who didn't need to prove himself through anyone's affection. That version of him didn't need answers. He was the answer. And somewhere along the way, he let a woman's chaos rewrite the story of his peace. He breathed slow, deep, steady, the kind of breath that feels like reclaiming something sacred. And in that moment, he realizes the truth. It was never about whether she'd been with a lot of men. It was about whether he'd been with himself, because what broke him wasn't her past. It was his pattern, his willingness to settle for confusion, to mistake being chosen for being valued, to call instability passion. He feels a calm spread through his chest, no anger, no resentment, just quiet understanding, the kind of peace that comes when a man stops waiting for closure and gives it to himself. He whispers under his breath, almost a prayer, almost a vow, never again. Not in defiance, but in clarity. Never again will he ignore what his body feels. Never again will he confuse attention for connection. Never again will he chase a woman who doesn't move with the same emotional honesty he gives. He finally understands walking away isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the moment a man remembers that silence is louder than begging, and peace is more powerful than proving. The rain slows, the night feels still. He turns the key, the engine hums, and for the first time in months, his chest doesn't ache. It feels light because, in that quiet awakening, he realizes he's not losing her. He's returning to himself, and that was all he ever needed to find. He sits there in silence, feeling the weight of every moment he ever doubted himself. And in that stillness, something inside him finally settles. He realizes the lesson was never about her, never about the signs, never about what she did or didn't do. It was about the mirror she held up to his own strength. Because through her, he saw the part of himself that kept searching for love in places that could never reflect it back. And now, as the truth sinks in, he feels no anger, only a quiet kind of power, the kind that comes when a man remembers who he is without needing anyone to remind him. He looks up, breathes deeply, and understands. Some women come into your life not to be kept, but to wake you up, to remind you that peace isn't found in being desired. It's found in being whole. And with that awareness, he finally lets go, not out of bitterness, but out of love for himself. The kind of love that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't prove, because a man's greatest strength is knowing when to stop reaching for what was never meant to hold him.